Hello fellow option traders, this is Jeff and welcome to the A plus list refresh video and the high IV percentile watch list creation. I'm going to show you how to do this using a scan. Alright, just a little bit of a summary here. I had talked a little bit in the past about adjusting the A plus list and maybe, going through it and see what can be done to get maybe some stocks in here, underlines that have a little bit higher IV percentile. Now, IV percentile is basically, if you go over to the trade tab here, I just close that down. I'm waiting for an order to execute here. Today's option statistics. So IV percentile is 60%, and what's that? And that's on LinkedIn. And what that is telling you right now is that, well, that's historic. Sorry, current IV percentile implied volatility percentile is 35% on LinkedIn, and that's saying that over the last year, last 52 weeks, that it is in the 35 percentile of its range. So that means that it has been as high as 67.4% and as low as 21.8%. So right now we're looking at overall, do they have like current, 37.82. So that is in 35% of the range between these two numbers. So we're at 37.82. So that's not too bad compared to some of the other ones on the A plus list. For instance, Chipotle, if we were to take a look at them, they are at 8%, and their range has been 18.2 to 46.9, and right now they're at 20.39, so that's only 8% of this range here. So we're looking for some underlines, or at least underlines that have an IV percentile a little bit higher than that. Specifically, we're going to look at ones over 50%, and I'm going to show you how to find them. And then we're going to take a look at how we can have a dynamic watch list of them. And out of this list, what ones look good enough to put on the A plus list? And the chief thing about the A plus list is it's weekly options, usually in penny increments, and we're looking for strike spreads that preferably, if the stock's over, we like to keep it a dollar spread if the stock is under $200, and we like to keep it at a $5 spread if it's over $200 between the strikes. So for instance, if we take a look at Chipotle here, we can see that it's a $500 stock, and there are $5 increments in the strikes for the contracts that are available for us to trade, so that's a good thing. If you were to look at maybe something that's a little bit cheaper, I can find one here. For instance, I believe before today Tesla was giving us $5 spreads, but now that the price has dropped enough, they added a bunch more. They added $1 increment spreads here on the weeklies, so that makes it more attractive. Celgene is this has $1 spread between the strikes. Baidu also has $1 spread between the strikes, so that's what we're looking for. A lot of times you can find them that are $90 to $200 that have $5 increments in their strikes, and that's not good. We don't want to play with those. So that's the one thing that we would primarily be looking for. And then of course at the money we'd be looking for a lot of open interest, preferably over 500. and they would have to have weeklies, and like these, multiple weeklies, not just the next week out, but actually several weeks out. Like here we have 4 weeks out on the weeklies on Baidu, and a similar thing, might even be more for Apple, I'm not even sure. Yeah, we have 4 weeks out on Apple. So that's what we would be looking for. So how do you get a list of stocks that you can trade options on that have a high IV percentile? And then once you get that, how do you make that a dynamic watch list? So here's how you do it. You go to the scan tab, and I already have the scan query set up, but if I didn't, here's what I would do. A lot of times you open this up, and the first thing, if you don't see anything else, you'll see like last price. Okay, so we're going to use that. We're going to say for our last price we want it to be $50, let's say, and that's the way I actually set up my scan. So now this tells you that from $50 to infinity there's 1,116 stocks that qualify for that. We're scanning in this particular watch list here, which is the all optionable watch list. And this, you get this out of the category. You could say all symbols, all stocks, all indices, blah, 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 blah. And I picked down here all optionable, and I didn't want it to intersect with anything else or to match any other kind of list here to see which ones are on both lists. So that's what I'm going for, is all the optionable. Then I want to add another fundamental filter, and I want to say that I want volume. Is that volume average, volume volatility difference? That should be just a volume, and that should be like an average volume, not today's current volume. And I want it to be over 1 million shares. Wait a minute, I gotta start over again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I want it to be over 1 million shares. Press the tab key. Now it tells me we're down to, we have 415 out of all the optionable that have a volume of over 1 million shares. Then we want to add a study filter. And these are studies that are built into the platform. And I would say go down here to volatility, and I would say IV percentile, and I want it above 50. There, I just got into LinkedIn. Up to 100. And that's based on daily. Okay, so now I can just, I want to say here, I want to look at the first 1,000, and that's almost the biggest number you can get here, because a lot of times, you know, it might just be default to some other setting here, but you want to make sure that you're going to get everything that you want. The list is not going to be 1,000 long, I can tell you that right now, at least not today. And we want it alphabetically by symbol, and we just hit the scan button. And we come up with a list of stocks. And how many are there? There's 23. That's all. Now you could save this as a watch list, but it would be a static watch list. So what we want to do is we want to go over here and say we want to save this as a scan query. So we'll just say high IV percentile, and that's good enough for us to name it. Okay, now you actually have here a watch list, and it's a dynamic watch list, because each time you bring this up over here, if I was, let's go back to the Analyze tab, okay, and if I bring this up over here and go over to Personal, I now have a high IV percentile watch list here, and this is telling you it's based on a query. So when you bring it up, it's going to be blank for a second, and then it's going to fill in as it runs the scan. So let's watch it happen here. And there it is. Now this is dynamic. Every time you open up, you can't just leave it open. I think that you have to actually close it, like go to another watch list and then bring it in and open it up again. It's going to run this scan. Let's see. If we go here to A+, and then we go back here to high IV percentile, yes, it runs the scan again. So this is a dynamic list. And it is IV percentile that's over 50. Now, for instance, I know for a fact that Adobe was in there because I put a trade on Adobe. So let's take a look here and look at where it is. Current IV percentile is 95%. Yeah, but where's our volume at? That must be current volume that I'm looking at. So that's unfortunate because I would like this scan to look at volume average. And I am not seeing that. And that's a shame. That is really a shame. Alright, so I might have to wait. Might be a good idea to wait until later in the day, and then if you want to save it as a static watch list, then you can go over here and click on the save as a watch list, and it'll save these as a watch list, not as a watch list scan query. Alright, so now we have our list, and now we want to quickly go here and look to see who has weeklies. Alright, so there's only single weekly on AET for Aetna, CBS monthlies, CLR monthlies. Alright, we got a single week there, monthly, Fedex. So hang on a second. I'm just writing them down when I run into them. Green Mountain. They have them. GME, GameStop, only one. HSBC monthlies. Monthly. Okay, Nike. QIHU? I have no idea who that is. This monthlies, this is already on there. Vips is monthlies, Walgreens is weekly, so wagon here. Let's see. Their XLV, pretty popular. Healthcare index. Oh yeah, I could see where IV would be high there. And that's it. So we got 6 candidates with high IV that we could put onto our A+ list. So I may just put them on there and start following them, and I would take off some that I'm not happy with. And one of them was Goldman. I'm going to take them off. Alright, so who's Chipotle? God, I love Chipotle. But you know what? Just because, Chipotle just goes up and up and up, I think I'll probably leave them on there. There's just no juice in them. That's why I haven't played them that much, because there's just nothing in them. Look at Apple at 1.39. Jeez, I haven't played Apple in a while either. Just kind of lost interest. And if you look at average true range of the price, when you go over here to the Market Watch tab, and you pull this up, and you go ahead and pull this high IV percentile list. And average true range, Apple's not up there, but it is. Let's go to the A+ list. I know what I'm doing. All right, so Apple's, let's see here. Average true range on Apple is $7. And that's on a $500 stock. So that's not a lot, if you know what I mean. So anyway, who else might I take off of here? I don't want to make the list too long because I have 6 candidates here. So I may just add those 6. I might take CF off of here. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm going to take them off because they only have 1 week out. So they're coming off. So I remove GS and CF. And I'm going to add Fedex. Let me add those. I'll pause it. Okay, so now I have them in there. I want you to notice, though, that some of these, if not all of them, are in this list because they have earnings coming up. Nike, Green Mountain Coffee, Fedex, QIHU. Was that the travel site? And Walgreens. So that's how I got to this particular list here. Now there's another one I want to add on here, and that is I want to add Adobe and Marvel, which I picked up on a scan previous to this. Now you can see Adobe has they have earnings coming up. They're at 95.69. When are their earnings? Way out here. Okay, so I was trying a new strategy trading these high IVs by trying to take advantage of the high IV in that it will only come down in a lot of our trades when IV collapses is when you make money faster rather than having IV go up, which, like I said, a lot of times in the past it makes your white line go down. Now these guys don't qualify for the A+ list because they don't have weeklies or a series of weeklies. But here I did, for instance, I did an iron condor on Adobe, and you can look at the chart here to see what it looks like. I did an iron condor on them, and this white line will go up faster if IV drops. But now the price is dropping, of course, IV is increasing a little bit. So IV at 35% is 95% of its percentile. Now that's a low IV. It's not very impressive, but when options are being calculated, the price of the options, a lot of the time value has to do with just how volatile it is compared to its history. So that is factored in there, which adds a little bit of more juice to the options. So on Adobe, I'm looking for a possible $178 here, and I only have maybe about $350 or so at risk. What do we got? $322 at risk. So that's like a 2-to-1 risk reward, which isn't too bad. But we're not looking to get everything out of this. We're looking to take it at 40 or maybe 50% of its max just to get some money out of it. and not stay in it until close to expiration. And the other one was Marvel. And Marvel I did a synthetic covered call on, and I will talk a little bit more about that in the future. I want to see how this works out. So in the future I will be doing a video where I'm going to go back and I'm going to back test this methodology, which is buying a leap. In this case we buy a January 15th 12 leap, and then we sold a December 13 call against it, collected 59 cents, and if we can collect close to 59 cents every month, we'll end up paying for this leap, and maybe the price will appreciate at the same time. Of course, covered call strategies, of course, are bullish strategies, so that's what we're looking for in Marvel. And I figure with my two grandsons, and the type of toys and things that they look at, I figure Marvel would be a pretty good candidate for a bullish long-term play, just based on that. Alright, so that's how we do this. Now remember, we go to the scan, and this is how the scan is set up. If you want to modify it or do anything else to it, you can. I can redo the scan. Right now we have 24. I can redo the scan. We still have 24. Adobe still hasn't showed up there yet. So they're not quite above the million mark. But you can lower this down if you want. If it's in the middle of the day, you might say, well, maybe 500,000. And, do the scan. And you end up with 44 on here, which is a little bit more robust. And you get Adobe on here too. So, and then you just save it as with a different query name, and you can bring it up over here and take a look at it anytime you want, dynamically, which is kind of cool. Alright, I think that's all I have. I don't know if I said anything dumb or not. Sometimes I do. But I would appreciate any feedback that you might give me, any corrections that I need to do. If I did misspeak on anything, but otherwise I think this looks like a pretty valuable tool, and I'll be doing it myself, not every morning. It won't be part of the daily scan, but I will be doing it frequently, and I'll let you know if I pick something up from that scan and if I do an actual trade on it. Okay, so that's it for this one, which is the A+ list refresh via the high IV percentile scan. So thanks for watching. Have a great day, and above all, happy trading.